So welcome to the Chief Chat for November 20th, 2020. Amazing that we are here at the end of the year already. Happy Thanksgiving to those of you living in the US where we celebrate stealing our country. Not to be cynical, but we're skipping it this year. Maybe we'll take some time to reflect on what the heck we did. So welcome. And let's get my friend, our friend of the Copy Chief community, David Deutsch, on right away, because we are going to look at your bullets from the Bullet the Podcast challenge. This is a challenge that we do inside of Copy Chief every so often, and it's always very exciting. It's where you listen to an upcoming episode of the Copy Chief Radio podcast. You write bullets with timestamps meant to compel a distracted email recipient or promo recipient into listening to the episode. David, I can see that you're here. I cannot see or hear you yet. You may have gotten a prompt to share your camera and your microphone. You may need to. There it is. Look at that. I can't hear you yet.
Okay.
Maybe you may have a different microphone connected.
Hang on. Let me.
Or maybe am I muted in some weird way? Let me check my settings.
No, that's probably me.
Yep, it's me. Sorry about that.
Oh, good.
There we go. You're perfect. Okay. I was still in podcast mode. Now I That'd be actually really funny to do that to somebody. Just waste 10 minutes of their time on a call doing that. And like, I'm just kidding. They're like, by then they don't even want to talk to you anymore. You again. I know your time is crazy valuable. You're a busy man. So let's just dive in. This is the Bullet the Podcast. I gave you a little bit of pre-framing for this. You right. Get what we're doing here, right? Our members listened to our interview and they wrote a bunch of bullets about you. So what was it like? I mean, you had a chance to scan them a little bit. What's it like to read a bunch of bullets about you?
That's pretty amazing. I love the Clark Kent of copywriting. That made me laugh out loud when
I like that too.
That was great. I mean, it was great to see so much creativity and imagination and copywriting skill. To me, it was very interesting. It was like there were things in each of the groups that I wanted to take and I wish that the other groups had. You know what I mean? Right. So it's like if someone would really look and study each group, they could see like, what am I not doing that person's doing? What am I not doing that person is doing? Is that's that right. worth, incorporating?
And, that's why I love this challenge, because the people who can consistently do it get better every single time for that exact reason. They're really studying. And I'll tell you something, what I normally do when I don't have a great guest like you, who's better at this than me, to look at these bullets, what I do is, as you saw, I put them in a document when the deadline ends. And then I walk away from it for at least a day, because I want to forget whose bullets those were to the best of my ability. Right. And I want to read them cold with no bias of anything. And I read them like I would, like the reader's going to read them. I'm skimming to see what stops me in my tracks and makes me, and I love that we just did our training Wednesday on believability for a promise. And one pattern I saw in a lot of these bullets was, I don't believe it. It's way too over the top, some hyperbole. So in others, I was like, man, that is a really well-balanced promise. I'm interested, I'm curious, but I also believe I'm going to get something real from it. Right. So
it's pretty sad when I don't believe it. And I'm the one behind the thing that they're claiming.
I know. I had to keep going back to the transcript and going, what did he say there for them to get that bullet? I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty clever. So very cool. All right. So let's bring them up. And here we go. So everybody, just so you know,
one thing that
Yep. Go ahead, David.
I was just going to say, one thing I like to do for that reason is to kind of sometimes embed in a footnote or in brackets, what the fulfillment is. because if I'm editing something, or if the next day I come back to it, I might want to, there might be something in what the fulfillment is that makes me change the bullet, if that makes sense. In other
Right.
words,
So,
it
so
saves me going
you
back
might
to the
add
book.
a note here to yourself. This is the blankety blank
Right.
thing.
Drink
Yeah.
milk
Yeah.
before writing
Excellent.
copy, kind of thing.
Phlegm is the key to great
Phlegm
copy.
is the key. Okay.
All right. So this is how I do these, everybody. I put them in a doc. I don't remember really who wrote these. And I'll give you another tip for people who enter this challenge, and the savvy ones know. It is best to get in early, because the way I instinctively judge these is when I find a batch that I really like early in, that becomes my new marker. And now somebody's got to beat that batch, right? And so if you can be the best batch, within the second, third, fourth submission, you've got a good advantage, because now everybody's playing to beat you. So, okay, David. So I'm just going to kind of scroll here, and out of respect for time, because you only have a few minutes with us, I'm just going to jump to some, and we'll point out examples of things we think, patterns we saw that can be improved, and others that should be copied.
Okay.
All right. So one thing I want to say is, like, they have to have enough context. First of all, I just want to point out something we often point out, a formatting issue. This is a headline formatting with the camel case with all caps on the first word, not something you'd use in bullets. These aren't headlines. Bullets are meant to feel like a quick sentence that is conversational but very compelling.
Did you say camel case?
Isn't that what it's called when you capitalize the first word of every?
I've never heard. It may well be, but I've never heard that. Camel case.
I heard it once and thought that's what it was, and now I always say it hesitantly because I could be wrong. But I'm sure Alex Penning is looking it up right now, or already knew it and is letting us know. So, all right. So that's one note there. I'll say this first batch, and we won't have time to go through them all, but they're good. But for that reason alone, I'm kind of moving on. And I would say, give me a little more meat, a little more substance. It was interesting to me. A lot of people went with the lion tamer thing. And when I looked back at what you actually said, David, if you remember, it was just an off the cuff example when you were talking about your David
it wasn't
Kennedy.
Actually true.
And so there's actually nothing there. And some people said, like, the lion tamer trick, it is not a trick. And so if you actually listened, you'd feel a little bit like, no, that wasn't anything about lion tamers. He was just giving a random example.
Yeah. I mean, it's okay to kind of make loose connections, but that one is a little too loose if it's that unrelated to it. It's close.
That's how I felt too. It's just a bit of a, it's close. I would have
close.
latched onto that too.
Close.
So what can I
do
with lion tamers? But then you gotta look, the thing is I'm only asking you for 10, and David would be the first to tell you, if you've given me your best 10, I hope you're writing 100. You got to write way more than
definitely.
All right. So,
the secret of bullets too is, like you said, it's quantity, right? But it's also really honing them.
Right.
And, Paris and I have a thing we joke about, which is that, when you first look at a bunch of bullets you've done, you just go into we go into a great depression. It's like, oh my God, I can't write bullets for this thing. Maybe I've lost my ability to write bullets. These are terrible. Right. And, it's just really depressing. You look at the first draft, and then we go back and we go, okay, let's take this one. All right. What if I got to move this around like that? What if I begin with this? Oh, wait a minute. Maybe there's some, let me go back to the book. You go back to the book and you see, oh, I should be this. And then then the bullet is like a bullet. But a first draft of a bullet, and I get the feeling a lot of these are kind of first drafty and haven't had that kind of, you get a diamond, and a diamond out of the ground looks like crap, right? So you got to chip away at it, and you got to like, oh, hold it up to the light and see, wait,
Yeah.
you know, if I cut this facet.
I think that has to be your instinct. And I do respect that a lot of these folks are working copywriters, or they may have another job, and it's, you know, not always easy to find the time. But if you're going to practice the craft, practice it all the way. And, you know, again, it's 10 bullets. And if you took the time to pour over the content, like David said, like play with them and polish them, and, you know, hold a high standard for what makes the page. Okay, so this is the first batch that really stopped me, and I thought, these are pretty good. These are well written. I think these are well crafted bullets. I feel like the writer here took time to care about every word. Another thing I'm always preaching, David, in these is rhythm, punch. You know, don't make every word count, because we're only talking about a sentence or two here. My only any of these you want to just jump into while they're on the screen?
No, just take the first one.
Okay.
I don't want to.
All right. So the secret behind David's inquisitive style that's so charismatic, it only took Kevin a few minutes to spill his guts during a recent lunch, including his deepest, darkest desires that his wife doesn't even know about.
Yeah. I mean, I think that one of the tricks to bullets, right, is really like, would you say it to someone? Would it get their attention? Right? Would you say, hey, you know, Jim, you want to know the secret behind David's inquisitive style that's so charismatic? It only took Kevin a few minutes to spill his guts during a recent lunch, including his deepest, darkest secret that even his wife doesn't know about. I mean, maybe the wife doesn't know about things just because it's a little bit salacious, but
juicy. Right.
But you could see it's kind of like it's a little bit copywriting speak and not like how we speak.
Yeah.
And I'm being tough now, right? Like that's a given. This is high level bullet writing, you know, 201.
Right.
So that's how you make something like this better, right? You want to find that thing that's going to be like, I gotta know that, right? It's got to be at the top of their list of things to know today.
But to never eat on an airplane.
Right. And, you know, do I care about David's inquisitive style? Right. You know, it's not like a great word. But it's so charismatic. Like, okay, it's an inquisitive style. Though, is he charismatic because he's inquisitive and he asks questions? Maybe it has to do with that. My brain is kind of like, I'm a little confused where this is going. But
it's working to understand what's going on here. Yeah.
If it was just, you know, how David writes so damn charismatically. You know, David's known for his, you know, writing that, like, you know, you can't stop reading or whatever, right? And this is his secret, the lion tamer secret to, you know.
Yeah. And one other note here, just again, it got a little hyperbole in the next one where it says, you know, John Carlton's untold zeitgeist secret that reveals why the political upheaval in the screaming 60s holds the key to becoming filthy rich in the financial niche. You know, it's some one little secret isn't going to get you filthy rich. So it was just, I get that you want to be exciting and all that, but you gotta lion tame your bullets a little bit into. So all right, let's move on. Yep.
Can I just go back to that for a second? I always feel like you could take one bullet, you could do like 2 hours on it, right?
I know.
You do a 2-hour class on it. And I don't want to hold it up, but I want to throw something out, which is this idea of prepositions and stringing prepositions along, right? What makes this unpunchy is that, you know, John Carlton's untold secret that reveals why the political upheaval of the screaming 60s holds the key to becoming filthy rich in the financial niche, right? So you could see it's just when you string prepositions like that, right? The action that was taken by the government under the dark of night, you know, in the 1960s, in order to further the interests of the society, when people were, you know, it loses your power. You don't have any, you know, climax. You don't have any arc. There's no point where you could punch. It's just prepositions strung together.
That's
And
that
it's
is
a
a great
great
point.
thing to look for and just kind of unravel, you know?
That's
You know,
great.
John
So,
Carlton.
so the difference would be if you wanted to take that same batch of information, could you rip off maybe a meteor way to a punchier way to get it across?
Well, you know, the secret is always having someone doing something, right? You know, um, John Carlton's guy, right? How John Carlton takes the political upheaval of the 60s and turns it into the key to great copy, you know?
Yeah. How
Like
John
just the more
Carlton.
direct the action could be.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone's doing something. All right. Great note. Okay. On to the next batch. And again, I apologize to people who came later because we're not going to get to them all. But this is, I think, some really good bullets in here. Step right up. Discover how the honky tonk boardwalks of David Deutsch's Coney Island upbringing awakened a prize winning attribute every copywriter needs. Without it, you'll be flailing at the brass ring of your A-lister dreams. I just love the imagery there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very conversational, but I can follow it. It tells me a story and it makes me curious about what it is.
You know, again, if you turn it a little more into what David learned from, from the Coney Island boardwalks, that can turn you into a master copywriter or something. You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
see how
just
that
more
takes away
direct.
some of that? Step right up and discover how the honky tonk boardwalks of David Deutsch's Coney Island upbringing awakened a prize winning attribute every copywriter needs. You know, it's still a little bit stringing things together. There's a lot of be careful about, things like prize winning attribute. What does that mean? Prize winning attribute every copywriter needs. Do we win? We don't even win prizes, really. Um, so be careful of
So
all those,
this,
David Deutsch's Coney Island upbringing. What's a Coney Island upbringing, right?
well,
Like
to me,
you got
I
you,
actually can see that. Maybe it's because I was there for the
yeah,
conversation, but I I can imagine a kid growing up in Coney Island and how colorful that would have been.
yeah, but it just takes that little split second for the reader who doesn't know this, right? It just
Right.
slows them down, you know? Um,
To check out and get
yeah,
bored
you can't let the
yeah.
adjectives do the work, right?
Yeah.
You know,
That's a really good point.
David was born in Coney Island. At 51 seconds, you're going to learn how he took that upbringing and turned it into a copywriting talent.
Yeah. That's really good. I
Or what
like that. That's
David,
a good,
yeah,
yep, go ahead.
what David learned from the pitchmen of the Coney Island boardwalks. Like this, does it matter that I was brought up there? I mean, it made for a nice story when we were talking, but for
Mhm.
this bullet, are you bogging it down with something, that it doesn't need to be bogged down with? And that's what you have to be so careful in bullets, right?
Yeah. It's a good point. Like I think another way to think of this is like I don't want to see the writer when I'm reading the bullet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see the writer at work. I just want to feel like, ooh, this is speaking to me and I'm compelled.
Yeah. And that's a danger with a lot of these is they're writing to, and rightfully they're writing to impress you or to impress me,
Right.
and we're writing to impress the client. We don't write enough, like, the gun to the head, right? If your life depended on it, how do you get someone interested in that thing that David said about the Coney Island boardwalks? You know, if
Yeah.
you want to write great persuasive copy, I want to tell you something David learned from, Coney Island pitchmen.
So starting with their known desire and then teasing with an interesting new
Right.
way to
How does
learn.
this get me what I really want? Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I told you guys he was a tough teacher.
Yeah.
um, bang, bang, boom, the magic math that cleans up your copy and adds rhythm to your writing. You know, I don't know. Not bad. I kind of like that one.
Yeah.
Are you copy faking? Would you know? Fire up this improv hack right now to short circuit sneaky BS and start connecting with your audience. I feel like
Yeah.
that's economical.
Yeah. It's got a lot of stuff in it though. The idea of
Yeah.
copy faking and then firing up an improv hack. Now how does an improv hack, right? Like I could understand how improv might
Well, you
make
got to
that
go listen
copy
to find
better.
out.
What's that?
You got to go
Yeah,
listen to find out at
but it's not,
21:58.
it doesn't engender in me that curiosity. Like, wow, I got to know how improv can make you determine how your copy is being fake. But maybe
Yeah.
how improv can
All
improve
right.
your
Fair enough.
copy, that's kind of interesting, right? And a little more direct.
Yeah.
And I'm
Okay.
sorry, I
Cool.
know I'm being really like nitpicky, but it's
No,
that little,
you're being honest. It's
yeah,
good. This is why we talked about this, and I told a story about when I would visit your classroom in SWS and think, oh my God, this person will never be the same. And I'm a little more like I look for the good, but
right, right. I see that. Yeah.
this is what makes you a next level coach
Yeah.
is that you just have that relentless standard, and it's
And
great.
I want to
So
acknowledge again, yeah, these are good. These are good
right.
bullets,
It's
but
just,
this is
but
how we take
should they
them.
make should they make the page? Do you want to be an A-lister? Do you want to
Yeah.
be, are you that dedicated?
I mean,
Okay,
this is,
cool.
they're probably not far from the first draft of how my bullet might look. You just write it down like, oh, I got an idea. Like you just put it down, but then you keep going at it.
Right. Okay, cool. Let's just gonna see what pops out at me and see if something jumps out at me is closer to what we've been saying. We got 5 minutes left. Um Here's a right wrong thing. I just want to see if something really simple, see if anything pops out at you as I scroll, David. Breakthrough. Here's what drives the panic you feel when you sit down to write. Oh, and it also breeds the bad habits that produce the limp copy, the kind that doesn't convert. But don't panic, you'll get the solution at 2540.
Again, it's a lot of stuff, right? What do you say? How do you encapsulate this? How do you take the best of this? And I mean, bullets don't have to be really short, but here's what drives the panic you feel when you sit down to write, right? Like, talk to me a little bit too. How you feel when you sit down to write and that panic comes over you. At 2540, David's going to tell you exactly what to do to make it go away.
Like
Like
that.
these don't have to be super clever.
Right.
They just have to be, what never to eat on an airplane is not super clever.
Right. It's just, you have to know. It's
right.
And it shows that the author is out to help you. Okay, good. 2-foot magnet. Don't do that. 6-minute dubber. That, I don't know what a dubber is.
Yeah.
Poison cash
Poison
steals money
cash.
from copywriters while killing. Again, a lot of
this person's using
tricky.
a lot of naming things, how shrinking your copy, how 6-foot dubber, how poison cash. It's relying too much on that. I mean, it's a great technique when you come up with a great name for something, like the lion tamer trick.
Right.
That instantly makes your copy better.
Just don't use it to death. Again, we only got 10 bullets here, so show some variation in style.
That's a great point. That's a great point, right?
Yeah. You should, I mean, even if you just look at Clayton Makepeace's 20 whatever bullet formulas from that great PDF from his old Easy Writer newsletter. You don't want to use them all exactly, but that's how there's 10 more than you could even use in this batch, right? So all right, how about this version? Find out what David learned about himself while growing up near the carnival-like atmosphere of world-famous Coney Island. It just might be responsible for his success as a copywriter. Is that closer to how you would want it just explained and rather than, there's not a lot of writing acrobatics
Yeah,
going on there.
at a certain point too, it's like just the purpose of this is to make people want to listen, right? We're not selling them on a technique or something, and I think it's I think it gives a nice, like there's curiosity in it. Find out what
Yeah.
David learned about himself growing up near the carnival-like atmosphere of world famous Coney Island. And then, you read that and it's kind of like, well, who cares? I don't really care what David learned about growing up. But then you put in that kicker, it just might be responsible for his success as a copywriter. That's a little like what never to eat on an airplane. It's a nice little, yeah, I got to know that. Damn. And I got to know that. And it sounds like it'll be interesting because there's carnivals involved, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that where it's a carnival-like atmosphere. It's like, if you don't know Coney Island, like you pointed out earlier, it's carnival-like. And so I can picture that.
Yep.
How about this is a pretty nice, honest way to use the lion tamer thing. Did you know that lion tamers have a secret death wish? Weird lessons about psychology that David picked up from direct response legends like John Carlton and Dan Kennedy.
Yeah. I like that. The picked up from direct response legends like John Carlton and Dan Kennedy is weakens it a little bit in the sense that, yeah, okay. I mean, I don't want to learn lessons that David learned from John Carlton and Dan Kennedy, really, right? I want that be all and end all that's going to change my copywriting career. And learning how to dig deep like that would change someone's copywriting career.
So you want it to be more like a guarded secret than a thing somebody picked up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
More that kind of thing.
I want to respect your time.
I can pick up stuff on my own.
Yeah. That's a good point. Okay. So we're out of time.
All right. We can go through a little more. I want
sure?
to. Okay. Yeah. I want to make each person.
I just want to stay with these for a minute because I think so far this batch, I don't have no idea who wrote them, but is closer to, I think, what you've been saying about just tell me what I need to know and make it interesting.
Yeah. And they're not trying so hard. I don't want to put people down for trying to be clever because I do that myself, in copy and in other things, but you don't have to do that. Just plain, I've got a cure for cancer here, you don't have to gussy it up. You don't have to, do things to it. If you've got something that's going to change people's lives, help them write better copy, it doesn't have to sound like the things that sound like when, people are writing copy ordinarily and we're so used to, and, everyone is out there talking about.
Yep. Okay.
What does David's secret to writing great copy have to do with intelligent 12-year-olds? See how he keeps things. Yeah.
Or keeping things simple can create huge wins.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of gives it away a little bit, but I mean,
John uses that thing where he says every fifth or something bullet should be, what does he call it? It's not, the others are blind, and he calls it like the free thing, or he gives the whole thing away.
Mm-hmm.
For him, it's a legitimizing factor, right?
Yes, it's a good thing to do. That one seems like it's trying to not give it away, but it does in a way.
Yeah, right.
I don't feel like you've given me something. I feel like you accidentally kind of.
Yeah, good point.
I love that.
Oh God, I love when that happens. A tip from David that helps you recognize when you've got world-class copy.
That's interesting. Oh God, I love when that happens.
I love that a few people picked up on that quote because it was a great moment in them.
What was, I can't remember what that was.
It was when I said to you, what's an indication when you open a piece of copy and start reading it that you've got something good in front of you? And you said, oh God, I love when that happens. And it's so rare. And this is what I see.
Oh yeah. Damn. Do love when that happens.
Okay, let's see. This one I just didn't get, the fogged over feet character flaw. I have to work too hard on. I don't know what that is. And again, like, don't be so clever that I don't get it. I always tell people it's called a bullet because it penetrates,
Yeah.
or think of it that way. It needs to really just go straight through my head and into my brain. Don't make me work to get it in. Nobody's gonna like dig a bullet into their own head. Shoot me with the damn thing, Again, I don't know what a wildly popular subscription service used by millions. Well, now I'm not getting a secret. It's so I like this quote. Why did you buy another diet pill, honey?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Stuff that people would
Discover
really
how to
say in
nip
real life is
buyer's
always
force right in the bud, and romance your customers by helping them to justify their purchase with the dinner table close. That's pretty good.
yeah. That's for and dinner table close. See, that's the sort of thing that naming something, right? That works really well because you sort of like, you feel like, oh, I almost know what that is. I've got a familiarity with that. There's things that are said at the dinner table. I can relate to it because I eat at dinner tables and things are said at the dinner table. So now I'm curious what the dinner table close is, right? Because it's relatable and it sounds like it would make a good, copy tip somehow.
Right. Yeah, it's good selection. Listen in Horace, David recalls in vivid detail his recent 5-year ordeal with imposter syndrome and his dead simple study buddy communication hack to sidestep this sinister beast.
I want to find out what that is.
That's a nice punch. I gotta say, that's a nice punch.
Yeah.
Toxic mantra even successful copywriters bang on about that drags them into financial ruin, leaving them begging for scraps for up to a decade later. Scratch this out of your vocabulary.
Yeah. A little overdone, but I think there's probably something in there that a little more,
Again, with more editing, you might back it down. It's like Carlton says, your first draft should be the most outrageous thing you've ever written. And then you walk it back from there because it's very hard to pump life into limp copy, right?
Yeah. Oh, and that's a good point. Just
again, do the work. Show us your best stuff. The best way to write is to write wrong bullet. The best way to write copy is to write to your ideal client, right? Wrong. The best way is to write to this specific person you already know who isn't your ideal customer or anyone that would normally buy your product, and know it's not a skeptical person either.
Yeah.
Kind of natters on, but some
yeah.
Good, I feel like I'm going to learn something important there.
Right. Right. And so that's what I was talking about before. You've got to get, where's the bullet in there that's waiting to be born, right? By chipping away at it, the diamond under all that dirt and under all the, we got to cut away the things and then we polish it.
Yep. Okay, cool.
It's interesting how a lot of people picked up on that step right up.
Yeah.
Which is a nice, nice way to relate it to
that.
It
is. It's got nice energy.
Go to
this is a little clever. This
is
like I like that they mixed in some shorter ones, but it's got to give me something. Go talk to Stan. The real reason why writers don't launch a course is like,
I mean, I see what so much I see what they're doing here, but this person needs to kind of walk before they run. They need to like imitate more really good bullets.
It's gonna, if you're gonna hand copy something, hand copy bullets rather than a 42-page sales letter. I mean, that's valuable too. But if you sat there and hand copied great control bullets once a week, God almighty, you'd get better at these quick.
And you'll get better at writing 47-page.
That's true.
Sales letters.
Yeah. So these are okay, and I think this is the last one. Again, it makes me work too hard. Dig layer by layer into the prospect's deeper and darker mind with the IA system.
Yeah, don't overdo that naming
I don't care
technique,
at that point,
right? give,
Yeah. Don't overdo it.
you want, and you want to give people things like you were sort of talking about every other bullet, but even, I mean, every fifth bullet, but even pieces of bullets can have really good information, right? They can even reveal things, but if you leave out that one thing that they've got to go to to listen for, then you'll drive them to it. I mean, it's a lot easier to do that with, like health stuff, right? You
Right.
tell someone what the herb is, but you don't tell them the dosage or the exact kind to get or something like that. But you could do that with this, give them some good stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Great points. All right. Well, this was incredible. Again, I want to respect your time. And I mean, this is so great an experience, David, because many of the people who wrote these bullets are here and I'm sure cringing and twisting in their seats as I would be to hear us talk about their bullets. And so I love that we did it blind. Nobody has to admit anything. Well, they'll know in the form whose was whose, but this is what writers do. And I always say this, David, the day you become a real writer is the day you crave the harsh critique,
And
because
that's
it's no
so
longer
true.
about ego. You only want the best end result.
Yeah. I mean, you should hear how Paris and Carlton and other people and I are with each other's copy,
Oh,
Yeah. I mean,
brutal.
and that's what it takes is that openness to hearing
Yeah.
that. I mean, nobody likes it, but
Yeah. But it's the old Halbert thing of when he would go into the bar and read his sales letter to the drunks, and if they said, "Wow, that's really well written," he'd tear it up and throw it in the garbage. And if they said, "Holy crap, where do I get that?" He's like, "All right, I'm on to something." You
right.
don't want to hear nice things about the writing
And you don't even,
necessarily.
yeah. I mean, you want to hear what you can do to make it better.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much, David. I
Oh,
really
my
appreciate
pleasure.
you, my friend.
Always good
Go on
to
with your
talk
day.
copy with you.
And everybody remember, David's course is now available. David Deutsch's A-Lister Copywriting Secrets. It's an amazing course. As you can see, David's a world-class, one-of-a-kind teacher. So head on over there, copychief.com/David training. And you can get on David's list and get all his great stuff at davidldeutsch.com. Thank you, my friend. I will let you go and we'll talk again soon. Thank you so much.
All right. I hope so. You take care.
All right. See you, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Fantastic. How about that, everybody? Woo! How are you feeling? How are you feeling if you had bullets in this batch? How great is that? You know what I mean? I mean, how rare is a guy like David? And I'm telling you, man, this has been one of the great privileges of my life, is to have friendships and with my mentors, people I've looked up to since the very day I started reading copy and discovering what is this copywriting thing in 2004, 5. And wow, to be able to call these people friends, and there'll be mentors from my life. I mean, every time I have conversations with David and Paris, John, Lori Morgan, Marcella, Allison, they just tell me things when we talk about copy that I'm like, oh, you think you're starting to figure things out. And this is why this is the most endlessly interesting, fascinating career we get to have, and why it's worth fighting for, and why it's worth figuring out how to catch some momentum and get clients and make this your life. Because how cool is it? How interesting is it? Sure, it's frustrating, and we get our teeth kicked in once in a while, but man, to wake up every day and get to think about this stuff and learn from people like David and each other, really, really cool. So thank you, Leon. I appreciate that. Yeah, David's course is, I mean, you just saw, what more do you need to know? You need to own this man's course. So speaking of getting clients and all this, I wanted to also share a thought about being proactive as a freelancer. There's a great example. I don't know if he's here. No, am I forgetting his name now? I'm sorry. I just wrote about him in the, and by the way, you know what I'll do now that we've had the advantage of David's insight into the bullets, I'm going to go through them again, use the filter that David just provided us, and pick a winner from there. And I'll make a video and kind of recap a little bit. And so I'll announce the winner today at some point in that same thread. But what's working now, by the way, I hope everybody is enjoying the new forum. I know it might take a minute because the formatting is different, but as you can see, so much easier to find everything. The calendar's right here, so you always know what's coming up. I'm seeing things you might not see because I'm in certain clubs. But what's cool here is even if you're in special clubs, like the Real Free Life, the coaching programs have alumni clubs. So if you've ever been a part of one of the Real Free Lives, you get to hang out with the other Real Free Lifers. Escape Velocity has its alumni club. And so if there's events there, you're seeing that come up here. Our Accelerator coaching group has their own calendar events. And so make sure you get into the clubs. The Freelancer Safe Zone is in there. And that means that you have to confess that you are a freelancer, not here to hire freelancers. This is where we talk openly and safely about issues we're having. We don't name names, but you're wondering how to position a contract and how to do different things that you wouldn't want a client knowing you're thinking about. As you can see, Melanie Warren, Ross O'Loughlin, some world-class copywriters in here giving great advice to you about how they did it. We're thinking about even creating more study groups in the clubs and really cool things. I want Copy Chief to become the place that you come to dive deep into the craft, and whatever you're focused on right now. Maybe you just went through one of the trainings in the dashboard, and you want to hang out with other people who you might not know are going through the same training, and you guys want to talk about it and maybe hold each other accountable to finish and do assignments. And, we just added this here. Let's see, water cooler resources and tools, swipe file. What's working now? I'm still finding stuff in here too, but we're going to start more sections on, the specific trainings. Here's all the skill practice workshops, bullet the podcast and all that. So I think it's in what's working now that this was posted. Yeah. So Luke Kelly, wrote about how he landed a gig. I thought it was really cool of him to share this. And his bit of advice is to, get a website together, get a portfolio together. We talked about this last Chief Chat, where I was sharing some advice I gave to a coaching student about how to handle an upcoming opportunity, a call, and make sure her portfolio was together and all that. And this is similar in that vein. I would say when you're first starting out, you don't have to have a great website, honestly, or even a website. You just have to have a really good looking portfolio to send people. But I wanted to just point out something about Luke and brag on him for a minute, because he's doing a critical thing to success as a freelancer, which is he's being enthusiastically proactive. And so I tell a little story here of Luke. He's from Australia. That's why he's not on the call right now. But look, if you're excited about your work, have nuance, use good soft skills, but don't be passive, be proactive. So Luke is paying such close attention that I sent out an email this week that was to people who want to hire copywriters and Copy Chief. The subject line was, who's hiring copywriters and Copy Chief? And I showed 3 quick screenshots of recent emails. Serena Savage writing to me to say, hey, we just hired Joshua Lee Henry, another copy chiefer on our team at Money Map Press. Thank you. Danny Eny saying our best writers always come from you, and also Jesse Ecker, his testimonial from the higher page. And if you don't know, we offer clients a special deal for only $199 for 3 months. They get access only to the jobs board, and they can post their jobs. And that's one of the reasons we get such great jobs, is because how many job alerts have you seen on Facebook and other places where that person would never pay to post a job to copywriters because they don't respect the craft and they don't respect copywriters enough to pay to get in front of the best ones, right? And so just really the $200 is there as a filter. It's like if you wouldn't pay $200 to make sure you're putting your job alert in front of the best, most pro code following copywriters of all skill levels, then how serious are you about hiring a great copywriter, right? It's a filter. And so anyway, Luke saw that I mentioned Jesse Ecker, and he said, man, I love T. Harv Ecker's stuff. That would be a dream client for me. And he just wrote to me to tell me that. He just PM'd me. He's like, just so you know, I saw that mention. It got me very excited because that he knows who a dream client is for him. And that was something right there, something we teach in RFL and in Escape Velocity. Like, understand whose work are you studying that you would love to write for. That's true inspiration. Because if you're gonna think about what do I practice writing, or what kind of copy do I study, it should be the stuff you want to write in the market you want to write in. And it should be a market where there's demand, right? And so we teach you how to create those filters, get on those lists, what to look for in the copy, how to practice those, how to write your own examples based on those things, so that when those dream clients come a calling, you can show them, like, I'm your dream copywriter because I've been studying stuff in your industry. And it's just like, they do backflips when they see that from a copywriter. And it just so happens that Jesse is hiring copywriters again. And I said to Luke, man, I'll let him know that you wrote me this, and I tell him directly. And so, by being proactively enthusiastic, he put himself at the front of the line for a potential opportunity, right? And so my message here is, don't be passive. Don't wait for things to come to you. And you also shouldn't be out just like blanket cold prospecting anywhere that anybody might need copywriting either. If you can focus your efforts into certain industries, certain markets, certain niches where you would thrive because you love the topic, you study the content, you study the marketing in that market, what a massive advantage that gives you. So be focused, you have your stuff together, and don't be passive. Go out and get it. All right. Cool. We did have one other critique. Let me dive into it real quick. And man, I feel intimidated right now, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? You see what I mean about David, man. This man does not play games, and really, like, makes me feel like I don't want to do I don't want to follow David. All right, here's the critique. It's for a page about this is a Korean language course. And so I just we only have a couple minutes left, so I want to give a quick critique here of the copy. And so I try not to focus too much on style, but these things are important. And so the first thing I see when I come to this page is that all these different colors are really fighting for my eye path, and it's hard to know where to look. So we've got this blue bar up here, and there's a lot of, everything's long, and it kind of goes back to what David and I were just talking about. It's not just bullets. Are we using the economy of words to say it in as few words as possible to give the most impact? And man, this is a lot of copy for a deck. deck, of course, being, the top of the sales page, everything that's happening above the fold. So here's my above the fold. Even if I pull the screen down a bit, I think I get the button there. So that's good. There's a video. Am I compelled to watch? Press play to discover how to use this landing page. Like, I shouldn't have to get instructions for how to read a sales letter, right? So that's probably not the best call to action for the video. It should be, what is this person? Hopefully it's a testimonial or something. Let's just see what it is.
If you are an online course creator, you're going to love the new sales page template that we've just made available inside of Thrive Architect.
Oh,
check it out.
I think maybe what this is a placeholder video, I think. So I'll take that back. This is a placeholder video. I wondered why. I was like, that doesn't make sense. Okay. So again, discover a proven process that will help you immediately. One thing I'd say, like, about this is a pre-head copy should be really specific to who the audience is. So this is my chance for me to read this and go, aha, this is exactly for me. This is what I want to do. So, it could be struggling to, speak fluent Korean, ? If you've been struggling to speak fluent, Korean, whatever it is, it tells me what this is about. So then we have cut out all the wasted activity that's sucking up your time, effort, and money, but not getting you anywhere of significance. And it's okay. So this whole line here, 1, 2, 3, about 20 or so words, could go anywhere and be about anything. And that means it doesn't get to be at the top of your sales letter, right? It's this headline has to be so specific that it just goes, oh my God, thank God somebody cares about this as much as I do. And they've made a way for me to do I'm struggling with better, how to do it better, how to get faster results. And so all this goes right here. It's not saying anything. Finally, get on a proven path to improve fluency, retention, and overall speaking confidence. I still don't know that this is about speaking Korean. It's not until I get here the first time I see the word Korean. Isn't that something? So, the obvious note and fix here for this is to get this up top here. Make all of this very specific, trim 80 to 90% of these words, and just tell me how you're going to help me speak better Korean. And what's interesting, and we see this a lot in sales pages, is all the good stuff, the hooks, the proof, the stuff that gets me excited if I'm this avatar, is way down at the bottom. You're telling me all the problems, and I still, if I'm scrolling, I don't see anything about Korean. I don't even know. So all I had to do so far was to miss this word buried in the middle of a long paragraph to not know what we're even talking about here. And I hate to tell you, because we all wish everybody read our copy as closely as we wrote it, but this is how people read copy for the most part. And so I'm looking for something to care about. Okay. So it's not until I get here that I'm like, oh, here's a picture of some folks, and that seems related. So who am I, and why should you listen to anything I say? By the way, if you're familiar with the 4x6, the 4 essentials, what is it? Who are you? And why should I trust you? Why can't I live without it? And when can I expect results? So finally, we're at one of the second most critical thing. It doesn't mean they have to happen in that exact order, but it's a safe bet to put those 4 things in it's the first 4 things people read. And I had to scroll how far to get to the second most important thing. And so now I'm interested because this guy's credentialed, and I've been teaching the Korean language in both classroom settings and online since early 2006, 14 years. And I've become well known for taking a seemingly difficult and complex language and breaking it down for people in a way that makes sense and is easy to understand. Okay, great. So he started from nothing and now he speaks fluently, and you know, that's improved his family life and all these things. So so my note is, and I don't know if you're on a call or not, I'm not even going to point you out because again, I just I don't know, I don't I feel like people have squirmed enough today, but this again, we crave critique because we want to get good. And so these are my notes, man. Make this, take your credentials, your proof, this great testimonial you have at the bottom that I watched from this. I love that this is just such, oh God, long to this. And I honestly, I'm not sure I love this format because I wasn't even sure it was a video. I think that's kind of a neat feature. And when I clicked it, the video did come up, but I just put this video up top. It's this girl talking about very conversation, like this breakthrough she had in speaking Korean. And it was like, she was high from it. And it was like the moment she'd been waiting for. It's a fantastic testimonial and it needs to go at the top. And so I would say, you know, the quickest way to improve this page, flip it, flip everything. Everything you got on the bottom goes on top. And then start, watch what everything David just said about writing better bullets, watch this promisability matrix training we did on Wednesday, and just take all that and put it through that filter and you'll have a huge improvement. All right. All right, everybody. I got to go. You got to go. Have a great, again, if you're in the US, thanks and strange Thanksgiving week where we won't, most of us get to be with family. You know, reach out, connect with people, try to fulfill that void that we're all suffering through this pandemic, and spend more time in Copy Chief with your peers and people who obsess on the same things you do. We're family too. Thanks everybody. Really appreciate all of you. And I'll see you guys inside. Thanks everybody. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.